We have a little mixture of some dancing, like the monkey dance or the chicken dance for the little kids, and then the bigger kids, we have calisthenics for them. But they all have to do everything. We try to mix it up a little bit so they all have something to look forward to.
Everybody seems to be reaching their goal and beyond.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity for not hate, but for unity, that we're all part of this global community and we can all help each other if we put forth the effort to do so. Let's keep it up. It's excellent, excellent, excellent work.
The pumpkin seeds, they were actually found in tombs in Mexico from like 7,000 BC.
This is the second project that we brought them together to do. This one is doing the research of certain key agricultural products, foods, and to see how they got from the new world to the old world.
So I used to go to his classroom during lunchtime and just study for the test, which were a lot of questions, 100 questions that you have to know.
I said, Miguel, the only way we're going to ensure that you're going to pass is if you get all 100 questions right.
Hello, and welcome to Classroom Close-Up New Jersey. I'm your host, Sean Spiller. We all know that learning doesn't end when the final bell rings each day. Kids have homework and after-school activities, of course, but not to be missed are educational opportunities beyond the classroom, like exploring the arts, on visits to museums, reflecting on history and culture while on vacation or at family reunions. On this episode, we'll focus on programs that expose students to global experiences beyond the classroom walls and back again. But first, children around the world unite by exercising at the same time.
Boys and girls, it's time for Project ACES. Let's get ready to exercise!
ACES stands for All Children Exercise Simultaneously. It's a whole fun activity where kids get to exercise and see that exercise isn't just hard work, it's really fun.
The basic concept is to get kids exercising around the country and the world today at 10 o'clock their local time. And it's a motivating tool to get them to love exercise and to lead healthy lifestyles and just to promote physical activity and physical education.
It's really interesting and cool because kids are doing this too at the same exact time, so it's interesting to think that they're actually doing it.
Well, we started it back in 1989. This is the 29th year, and the whole idea was to get 5 elementary schools in Montville to exercise at the same time. But what happened, the word caught on, and somebody from New York heard about it from a friend, and they said, "Can we join you?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then a teacher I know in Connecticut, I was telling him about it. He said, "Can I join you too?" I'm like, okay, this is cool. We got 3 states. Maybe we can try to get all 50. And I started a letter writing campaign to write to schools, and Sports Illustrated heard about it. They wrote about it, and then it just picked up from there. And it was basically going to be a 1-year event, and it just transformed into this yearly event where the first year, 250,000 kids participated, and now there's millions all over the world.
This is really a rite of passage at Valley View Elementary School. The children look forward to it each spring, but they learn about it not just from Mr. Saunders, but their siblings have been through it, their neighbors know about it, the community knows about it. So this is a big, big event at Valley View, and I think it represents the bond we share as a learning community, so it's symbolic of that also.
On 3, when it's ACES. Ready? Hands in. 1, 2, 3, ACES! We have 4 leaders, and they're going to go out in front of the whole school body and all the parents and go on a stage, and they're going to exercise. They've been practicing for the last 2 months. We have them come into the gym, and we have them go in front of all the little classes, like the kindergartners, the preschoolers, and we have them practice their routine. And the little kids then pick up what we're going to do, so when they go out there, they're aware of what we're going to do, and they're not nervous, and they all perform to their highest ability. A lot goes on behind the scenes to get it in motion.
When I found out I was a leader, I got very excited. I feel it's a big responsibility because, not many people get to do this, and you're being a role model to all the little kids.
I wanted to be an ACES leader because I thought it was going to be really fun and interesting to be a role model for all the other little kids.
I wanted to be an ACES leader because it has like a lot of responsibility and it's fun and you get to like make kids laugh.
We're gonna do different exercises like jumping jacks, push-ups, sit-ups, arm circles.
With a bunch of music and everybody doing it, they feel included in a big fun group. So it'll be really fun.
We have a little mixture of some dancing, like the monkey dance or the chicken dance for the little kids, and then the bigger kids, we have calisthenics for them. But they all have to do everything. We try to mix it up a little bit so they all have something to look forward to.
My favorite exercise is push-ups.
It's important for kids to exercise because it helps their minds get strong and their hearts get strong, and it keeps them healthy.
My favorite part is when we stretch because you can exercise with your friends and you and your friends can be happy together.
Exercise is something that I try to do every day. Not only is it great for your heart, it's great for your mind. Makes you happy when you do it. So I'm just happy to be here and be a part of it. Thank you, Mr. Saunders.
We've had schools from Japan and China, Poland, Israel. So the program has grown significantly, and it's exciting to see and watch it grow. Basically, how I look at it, if there's 1 million kids participating, if I could change the life of one child out of the millions, the program's a success.
The next annual event is already planned, so mark your calendars for May 2nd, 2018. Programs like this work because they motivate kids, allowing them to feel connected with their peers, acknowledging their differences in culture and geography, while celebrating what they have in common. It's a way to relate to others, to see people on a human level. Opening the door to empathy and understanding is a step towards lending a hand where help is needed most.
We have our big week next week with Nellies in basketball. We will be going over our sign-ups today, how far along we are with that.
Although the whiteboard in Tom Witkowski's classroom looks like he's teaching business or finance, it's actually part of his Model UN class.
So there's plenty to do. Obviously, we have some big events coming up. Traditional Model UN classes, we do simulations for most of the time, and we simulate various global conflicts and so on and so forth. But the unique aspect of this project is we go beyond that.
In fact, way beyond.
19,360 on our way to 25,000. You guys are doing
These students are raising money for 6 different global charities.
So we'd have to sell how many tickets to get our break-even point?
Their combined goal is to reach $25,000.
When we're teaching about all the different world problems that are going on throughout the course of the year, we ultimately want to have some sort of activity in which we can actually enact change. And in this particular case, this project affords us that opportunity.
In the message put, use this form to sign up.
75 students break into 6 groups that plan various fundraisers for each of the charities.
My group is Sunny's group, and Sunny is a 7-year-old boy in India who is poverty-stricken. He lives in a poor village, and his parents cannot supply the funds he needs for basic needs.
And we're just gonna go through the stands and hand out flyers. We're sponsoring 2 kids, Hagai, who's from Uganda, and Christian, who's from Mexico. And we're going through an organization called Unbound, where you choose certain children or older people to sponsor. So this is where we keep track of all the donations we got and how much we raised in certain fundraisers.
My group is Mark Hendy. Mark Hendy is a boy from Haiti, and he is an orphan. He grew up in an abusive orphanage, and basically he has no friends, no family. He's basically alone.
We're holding a charity event, and we'd like to know if there's any way that you could sponsor us in any way. We are Operation Smile, and what we're doing is we're raising money to fund a group that provides cleft lip and cleft palate surgeries to children all across the world.
We are raising money for Patricia, who has rheumatic heart disease, and that causes like inflammation in her heart and her joints, her blood vessels, like all that type of stuff. And it's life-threatening, which is unfortunate. So we were working with the Gift of Life Foundation to raise money to provide her with a surgery.
That money is from which event?
the bake sale yesterday.
Okay, so you have...
Our group is funding the medical education of a 19-year-old girl in Kenya named Mercy. We do write to her, so one of the girls in our group is like in charge of the correspondence with her. It's from Mercy. She says, "Receive my greetings, hoping that you are doing great. I'm also doing fine with my family, and for that we salute the Almighty. We're in another year, and for me, I'm in another level of my studies." Her goal is to become a doctor.
So tell me a little bit about what you're actually doing now. What are you doing here today?
I'm organizing the basketball tournament that we're hosting. It's 3-on-3 basketball, and I am doing the Google form that we're going to send out to all the students in the school so they can...
We're able to change the lives of people very, very far away from us in countries that many of our students didn't even know existed before the school year started.
Everybody seems to be reaching their goal and beyond.
Yeah.
So
We've done bake sales. We've gone around like old-fashioned, just collecting money in a bucket. We sell donuts. People really like the donuts at our school. They're a big hit.
Tom's been doing these projects for quite a few years now, and we've seen a lot of posters and just advertisements around the building. And I just thought, I teach how to build an advertisement. I teach the 4 parts of the ad. I teach how to reach a target market. Couldn't I do, a few days in class just to pull my students' skills and help out the charities and the students that are in the Honors Model UN class?
It was terrific to have Jen reach out to me. I am not an expert on marketing, so it creates a larger community of those helping in the form of this project, and that's been really terrific. So if we hit our target of 5,000, how many years are we going to be providing sponsorship for her?
It really shows how lucky we are and how other people have it so hard to get by, and it just makes everyone want to help out.
Obviously, you can see as of last period, we've gotten over $20,000, okay?
Being compassionate for others and just making everything culminate to make something happen is, I'd say, the most important thing that we learn from this, to make something greater than ourselves.
You don't really get the opportunity to do much like this. It's part of the reason I took this class, so it really has been life-changing. Knowing the fact that I'm impacting a child's life and making his life better because he wasn't dealt the best cards. Through this project and with my group members, we're gonna actually change someone's life for the better.
This is an opportunity for coming together, for not hate, but for unity. And I think that message is that no matter what your race and your nationality, country of origin, that we're all part of this global community and we can all help each other. And I really hope that my students achieve that goal of getting that mindset.
Tom's students exceeded their fundraising goal by raising almost $27,000.
Keep it up. It's excellent, excellent, excellent work.
when we come back, culture and nutrition from Beyond the Bell. Stay tuned.
I'm from a family of teachers. My dad's a teacher, my mom's a teacher, my sister's a teacher. So teaching, we always said, was in our blood. I tried to not be a teacher. I started college and I was like, nope, I'll take one education class. Within 4 days, I was declared as an elementary education major. I am the only one in my family that went elementary. I believe that the foundation of a student starts so young, and I want to be a part of that experience. So that's why I decided to go that route, and it has been the most rewarding 8 years of my life. I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
The world language teachers at Sterling High School have traveled all over the globe, bringing back artifacts and real-world experiences to enhance their students' learning. This year, they set their sights on South America.
We had to find a way to get to Peru. We talked about it, looked at our lessons, and tried to find connections, and found the food connection between Peru and the Mediterranean.
Sharon Galt, the Spanish teacher, won a grant through the National Education Association to go to Peru, and then I also wrote one as well.
My grant was really about trying to meet the needs of the AP curriculum, like using culture, using language, so not just food, but technology, the agriculture. Michelle And Mima took the food idea and they wrote a FLENG grant, our Foreign Language Teachers in New Jersey grant.
We learned about the food traditions of the Inca. That was our focus.
Buongiorno, bonjour, buenos dias. We have French, we have Italian, we have the Spanish classes. You guys are all going to be working on this group project together based on Miss Galt and Miss Meyer's trip to Peru.
This is the second project that we brought them together to do. This one is doing the research of certain key agricultural products, foods, the pepper, the corn, the potatoes, chocolate, coffee, and to see how they got from the New World to the Old World.
We would not have the recipes we have today if it weren't for Christopher Columbus, Francisco Pizarro, and the other conquistadors that took that food from Peru, from South America, and brought it to Europe. They researched the product, its history, and then they found an authentic recipe where that product was predominantly featured that would not have happened if it weren't for the Incas and the food that was already in South America.
The tomato was originated in Peru and then they brought it to Spain in the 16th century, which I thought was pretty cool.
I'm looking up recipes that involve pumpkin.
Pumpkin seeds, they were actually found in tombs in Mexico from like 7000 BC.
We're figuring out when peppers arrived at Europe, like who brought it, when it was first used, the first people to eat it.
We're researching chocolate in Europe, how it came over from Peru to Europe. More specifically, I take French class, so I research how it came to France.
We went gung-ho, starting to come up with these lessons, coming up with this project, and then we decided that for spring break we would take the kids to Peru.
The inspiration of the trip was really the trip that we took together as teachers in Peru, and that we wanted to collaborate together, the World Language Department, and create our own travel experience. We called it GATE, Global Ambassadors Travel Experience.
We kept saying, where are we going to go? You teach French. She wanted to go to French Canada. Mima wanted to go to Italy. I wanted to go to Costa Rica. And then I said, hey, why don't we just start it off in Peru? We said, all our kids are going to do this project anyway. So we did, and we brought them back to Peru.
I read so many books about the culture before I went, and nothing can ever describe like what it's like to be there and feel the culture and be a part of it.
We visited a school there. They were like 10 and 11. They all spoke Spanish, and I was like talking to them and could understand them, and they understood me, so that was pretty cool. That was probably my favorite part of the trip.
We got to interact with all the little kids. We played games with them and just talked to them. They were so nice and cute. I took a picture with them. I wrote a letter to them and I sent it to their school. And it was just like, that was definitely the most memorable thing I've ever done, because nothing's ever going to top that.
We learned a little bit about the irrigation system. They had like gravel underneath the soil, and so it was just easier for like the water to like flow through and just get to the plants and everything. So that was very cool to learn about.
One of the last days we went to Machu Picchu, and I've always wanted to go to Machu Picchu. It's completely beautiful there, like breathtaking. It's so much more beautiful and more grander than like I ever imagined. The tour guides would tell stories about how the Incas, they would bring rocks from like the down below the river. It's so further down than where the town actually is. And they would carry these huge rocks that weigh like 2 tons up to the mountain and build these houses and stuff, which is insane.
The view was probably the most memorable part of my trip. In our hotel in the Sacred Valley, just right outside the window, you just have this amazing view of the mountains, and you got like the flowers like right there.
Travel to me is the best learning experience. You are immersed in the language. You're immersed in these surroundings that are not known to you, so you can't help but learn.
When you read about a culture in a book, it's a fantasy, it's an idea. Even if you see it on a film, it's not there. But when you go to the markets and you look at the mountains, it's never the same. And even like the goofy things that go on, you know, the experiences that you have, it's real. And I think that's what it is. And the kids, when they get those real experiences, they just understand it in ways that you can't from just sitting at home reading your book.
Here is Miguel Martinez.
Thanks, guys. Hello,
Hello. Hi, everybody. People who don't know me, but I used to be a student here. My name is Miguel Martinez. My family are immigrants from the Dominican Republic. We came to the U.S. in 2010. We wanted to immigrate because we would have better education, better opportunities for my parents to have better jobs, and for us to have a better life.
Today, Miguel is visiting Camden Big Picture Learning Academy to speak with social studies teacher Frank Epifanio's students about his experiences as a student and his recently completed journey to become a U.S. citizen.
The way we came to the U.S. was because my grandparents live here since 1997, and they requested us as a family reunion, which means that they will ask the U.S. government to bring us over with them. But that took 10 years for us to actually get an interview from the U.S. government in order for us to come over.
After waiting 10 years, Miguel still had more work ahead of him.
I know I wanted to become a U.S. citizen. That was one of my goals. So I waited 5 years, which is one of the requirements in order to become a U.S. citizen. You have to live here in the U.S. for at least 5 years and being able to speak English, write, and read in English.
During the 5 years, Miguel attended middle and high school in Camden, where he learned English with the help of dual language instruction and ESL lessons.
Adapting yourself to a new country is something that you don't know until you experience. But then the language barrier, it takes time to learn a new language. I myself haven't even perfected at it yet with 6 years in the US, and it's a process that takes time.
Miguel finally became eligible to apply for citizenship during his senior year of high school. That's when Frank Epifanio comes into the story.
He wasn't my teacher, but we met back in my first year of high school, where I had an internship at the school he originally taught at. And then he transferred over to my high school, and then that's when we really started to bond.
He would have to go by my classroom to get to his math class every day, and one day he asked me if I knew anything about citizenship, and I said, I know a little bit, I don't know the whole process, but I'll look into it for you. He's like, oh, okay, because I'm applying.
We started talking about how I was becoming a citizen, and he was the biggest help.
Frank helped Miguel through the process, from making sure his 20-page application was in order to helping him study for the civics test he would need to pass.
So I used to go to his classroom during lunchtime and just sit with him and study for the test, which were a lot of questions, 100 questions that you had to know.
I wanted to make sure that he knew all 100 questions, because they select like anywhere between 5 and 10 randomly, and you have to get a certain amount right, but you don't know which ones they're going to pick out of the 100. I said, Miguel, the only way we're going to ensure that you're going to pass is if you get all 100 questions right, and we have at least a couple months. So for about 2 or 3 months, we would quiz 100 questions until he got it right, and that's how we pretty much got it to where Miguel could answer all 100 questions.
When the day arrived, Frank drove Miguel to his interview and waited.
I wasn't allowed to go back when he got questioned, but I was waiting very anxiously.
I didn't know what to expect, but I know I was mentally prepared. I know I was going to get this done.
He came out, he said, I passed. I talked to the woman who gave him the test. She said he's one of the best that she's ever had. He knew like everything, and she invited us back that very day to do the swearing-in ceremony.
The most memorable moments that I remember from that ceremony was when they mentioned all the countries, and there were around 30 countries. That was really special, like knowing that so many people from different countries were taking the same step as me.
Helping Miguel reminded Frank of his own family's history.
It meant a lot to me because my grandfather was an immigrant from Italy, and he would tell the stories about when he came here. He didn't speak the language. He was in 3rd grade in Italy. Back then there was no ESL, there was no bilingual education. They put him in the 1st grade when he was 9 years old. So he got picked on a lot. That was something that always stuck with him and that he always remembered. But he loved being a citizen of this country. He always remembered the old country, the hardships over there. So that always meant a lot to me, to remember that we are a nation of immigrants.
Miguel earned his citizenship just in time to vote in the 2016 elections.
It was a very political time when I got my citizenship, and regardless if what I believe in or not won, I was able to, make my voice be heard. That was very important for me.
On election day, he texted me the sticker, the I voted sticker. That meant a lot. He wanted his voice to be heard, and he was able to make it heard on election day. As somebody who mentored Miguel through that process, there are those types of things that Teachers don't get bonuses, but there are bonuses, you know.
Now a U.S. citizen, a student at Rowan University, and a freelance photographer, Miguel hopes to remind Frank's current students of the many opportunities and support systems they have in front of them.
There are really a lot of resources and people who cares about your education and your success. And when they see that you are trying, they wanted to give you the help you need. And Mr. Epifanio is just one example of many people that have helped me throughout my first day here in the US to today. There are so many people around me that help me every single day.
We know the positive role schools play in providing support for student achievement. While Miguel's story shows what happens when individuals go that extra step. And this is just one example. If you're a regular viewer of our show, you see it happening week after week. Educators are role models for young people. We're joining with peers around the globe, experiencing the joy of helping others, and discovering how they can make a difference. So that's all for this week. We're glad you could be here. If you missed any part of this episode or to search our video library, visit classroomcloseup.org and follow us on Facebook. Next time, we'll feature a safe driving campaign for students. Until then, for Classroom Close-Up New Jersey, I'm Sean Spiller. See you soon.
1, 2, 3, haze!